Okay, everybody, welcome. We're going to talk about a little bit of lighting today. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? Lighting, framing, composition. I mean, that sums it all up. But mainly lighting. I mean, let's break it down. It's so important. It's what's going to make the difference between amateur and professional work, period, end of story. So I'm going to share with you guys today an alternative to the three-point lighting system, right? I mean, when you're doing, like, let's say, just your good old-fashioned interview, headshot, just one character kind of a thing. You know, a lot of people will just go for that light coming in 3/4, then they'll fill a little bit by either bouncing or giving another light source coming in from the other side, and they'll do a little hair light, and they'll call it a day. Sometimes they don't even do the fill, they'll just put a little bit of a light, just enough on the 45 degrees so that it spills naturally over, which is great. Sometimes you're in a pinch, that's how you do it, and then you just call it a day. But I have been experimenting with another method of doing it, which I really like. I don't know. I think it's better. I guess this is all subjective, but basically what it comes down to is you use your basic light that's almost a side light, but again 45 kind of coming from over here, and you then now having a lot of you'll get that contrast on the other side. And instead of coming in on this end and filling it out, you come in with the second light, just a little bit more frontal, like one next to the other, and that'll now it'll creep over into the other end, and that's how you fill in that side. So I recommend this style. It's basically give you a nice long, basically a big long light, and what you do is you just make sure that the second light is a little bit less powerful, right? Because you don't want it to fill in too much. So it's like you have this, it's like you have a nice long kind of a swoop of a light, and it'll give you that wrapping around your face kind of a feel. And the key is to have that second light that's more frontal be a lot less strong, a little less bright, and therefore you'll still get that contrast in relative to how bright this side of the face is. Let me jump on and show you how I did this shot here. Oh, died out on us. Let me show you how I did this. I'll show you a little bit of the setup, and I'll explain it a little bit for you. All right, let's dig in. Okay, so what I did for this one here, basically I just got done explaining it to you so you understand a little bit of the concept, but I want you to see the setup just a little bit. This is basically, profile. Imagine this this person that you just saw here is this side of the face, their left side of the face. That's where this side shot is coming from. This panoramic kind of a shot here. And what I got here is I have an LED, right? Kind of again in that 45-degree angle relative to her. And I don't have it going directly on her. What I'm doing is I'm blasting it into this white foam cord kind of a thing, and that's bouncing it back into her. So that's my key light right there. And if you'll notice, right next to it, I have an umbrella light, and it has two bulbs. And if you look real close, you see one is very bright because it's on, and the other one isn't. So it gave me a little bit of play there. I can experiment how much how bright, how much I want to turn these up. And you can also experiment with the bulbs, the actual, I mean, these are like, I don't know, 20 some watt or something. There's 18 and 12, so you can use that to kind of help you get the exact exposure as you want. But basically, this this main LED here is giving me that key light, and then without the umbrella, it would be quite contrasty, which may be what we want. But in this case, this is not a dramatic piece or anything, so I didn't want too much contrast, and I did want some fill, but I want it to be very naturally graded over. And if you think about it, that's not very natural. You want to always try to imitate what naturally would be happening with lighting. And you're not going to have a light really on one side and then another light coming in from the other side. What's going on? How many light sources do you have? I mean, in reality, if you're trying to mimic the sun or a room, normally, lights are coming from one place or from above or whatnot. So, I really like this style of having it come from the same side, only that second light is not as strong, and it's just a little bit offset. And what happens is it kind of creates this wrapping around effect. The second light starts to wrap around to her left side of her cheek, and that's what's going on here. And if you look closely into the eyes, you can kind of see that there's two sources there. I mean, you should, right? Because that's what's going on. And then you get this nice, key light here, and the second light starts to help you out and wraps it around, and just enough so that it's not too contrasty on the left side of the cheek. And that's basically what's going on here. That's the main thing that I wanted to show. Here's another angle of that. This is, I'm filming now from behind. You can see this chair right here is where the subject would sit. You can see the camera right there. That's my 5D Mark III. Gotta love it. And yeah, so there you go. You got the two sources there. There's the key light coming from bouncing off of this foam cord, and I always bounce. I mean, either bounce or make sure you're shooting it through some nice big large diffusion to make it soft. One of the two. And then there's that umbrella right next to it. Now, another thing that I did is that once I got this, there's no rule here. You have to look at your photo, and every time it's going to be different. There's going to be different ambient light in each room, so there's no one setup that's always going to work. You always have to adjust. So what I did here is that once I looked at the image, I wish I had a shot before and after, but basically I was getting a little bit too much fill with that second light. And I didn't have, a bunch of light bulbs like I just recommended, so I couldn't, bring it down. All I had to do was I had my, reflector, and this reflector, I just used the black side, and I just brought that up alongside of her. And when I brought it up alongside, I experimented with how close and far, and I just brought it in just close enough to where it's out of camera, not getting in the shot, and that's what really, gave it that final touch. And just enough of contrast on this side of the face. Otherwise, it would have been filled in too much. And I was trying to find that happy medium where I didn't want it to be too dramatic, too contrasty. And then when I brought in my second light on the same side, it did what I wanted it to do, but a little bit too strongly. It filled it in too much. So I just dropped in to the right of her, just out of this frame. And basically what it's called, negative fill. Just brought in that black. It's pretty large size, so it was able to cut out a lot of the. You can see it's a pretty tall one. Now I'm stressing this this negative fill because a lot of people in this room, maybe the average person would think, well, there's no light really coming from that side, because there really isn't. There's no window to the left. The windows are in the front and the back. I have no lights on above. And there's only these two lights here to the right, so what is there to block? And that's really one of the things that you got to take away from this. And it took me a while to learn this, but there's light coming from everywhere. I mean, unless it's a pitch dark room, there is light there. You just so just by bringing in anything to block light there. And by the way, if you didn't have one of these handy, you could have put anything there. Just you could even had a body stand there. I wouldn't recommend that, but anything to block the light coming in, because there is ambient light bouncing around the room, and by dropping that there, it gave us just the right amount of contrast and took away some light on this side of her face, and that's what's giving us that nice complete look. Okay, so there you have it. There's a nice alternative to that 3-point lighting system. Basically, two lights on the same side. One a little bit less intense, so that you get that nice kind of wraparound. And experiment with it. Put some negative fill if you need to on the opposite side to get some nice contrast. And as always, I want to remind you guys that we have a new Cine Summit in the works, so stay tuned for that. The last one was our first one, so we learned a lot from it, and we got we got your feedback. And this next one's gonna be crazy. We're getting even bigger people, and just everything's gonna be over the top. So expect to hear more about that, and it's gonna be rock and roll time. All right, guys, get out there and do it, and leave some comments and tell us how you're doing things, and maybe give us some links to what you've done so that we can talk about it. All right, until next time. See you later.